Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan, and Val.
Hello guys.
Today we have the third round of the losers bracket of the Wargame Reddit tournament, and today we're going to see the first game of a best of three between Crna Buksna and CCD. So this is all to play for really, because the loser of this best of three will be knocked out of the tournament and will not have a chance at the prize from first place. So it's quite a big deal. What are you expecting to see in this game, Val?
I'm expecting this to be quite close, to be honest. Both these teams have proven they're really, really good. They really know their meta. And just, they've proven time and time again that these are really exceptional players that have really made it far into this tournament. And on Paddy Field, the map we've seen quite often, it's a really interesting one and lots of scope for some cool stuff to see. So hopefully we'll have some really exciting plays.
Yeah, so over on the blue side, we do see Crna Buksna today with Razman, Firestarter and Dirty D. And over on the red side, of course, we have CCD with Pattern, Fadeaway and Random. What sort of decks are we looking at today?
Okay, so let's take a look at Crna first. They're using Bluefor decks, which is quite interesting, really. We see mostly red in this tournament, but in this case they've gone to opt for blue. So Razman has a Scandinavian deck, which I believe he's used before to good effect. Firestarter has a US deck, and Dirty D is running his full NATO deck again, which that was a deck we saw early in the tournament as well, which was really, really fun to watch. So if we go over onto the red side, we have Random up at the top with a Soviet deck. Now again, with these could be Soviet Korean decks, but Random I think has never actually used a Soviet Korean deck. He's always used Soviet, which is interesting. Fadeaway has a Soviet Korean deck, and Pan has a Soviet deck. So quite standard from what we'd expect to see from the red side, but the blue side has gone very very off meta to an extent. These are decks that we've only really seen them use, really, or at least in these games that we've casted. So they are being slight pioneers of the blue side at the moment, but we'll find out how they perform.
Yeah, Bluefor is definitely a risky choice in this tournament, it seems. We've seen majority red 4 versus red 4, and I really am pleased to see the Scandinavian deck come out again. It's really awesome. It has some very unique units that are not often seen. Dirty D is going to be using these Hachinanashikis again, and I have said previously that these are a very good counter to the red 4 side, mainly because they're very good at dealing with red 4 APCs like the BTR 90s and the BTR 80As and so on, and they can really challenge those and also do a lot of damage to infantry as well, and maybe sort of stop the power of a Spetsnaz unit against generally weaker Bluefor napalm infantry. So that's really going to pay off there. What do you think?
I think it will do. There's the Hachinanashikis are really, really good, just support vehicles, and if anyone watching this plays raised ranked, which I imagine quite a few of you are, you see lots of Bluefor mech decks for that reason, because you can bring the Hachinanashiki in it, and it's really, really effective. So the mix of the cost-effective Jaegers and that brilliant Hachinana make for a very potent combination.
Yeah, so let's have a look at these specific units for the red side. And looking at the top, we've got a T-72 BU and a Tunguska there. Quite a nice combo. We've got the the air cover there with the T-72. Then we got a couple of T-72 B1s, some BTR-Ds, probably with the VDV-90. We've got some BTR-90s there. And we do see a BTR-80A with some Spetsnaz GRU. Is that maybe? Yeah, probably. Anyway, over on the bottom side, we do see a Buratino out of Fadeaway, and he is also going to be bringing in his own T-72 BU. So 2 BUs at the start, which is quite something. Then Pattern is choosing to use a T-80U on the bottom side, 2 of those covered by a Tunguska and an OSA AKM. So very sort of heavy forces for the red side.
It really is, and especially down the bottom, those 2 T-80Us. In most sectors, it's probably advisable to take a single super heavy tank, but in Hotel, where you have such an open field, having those 2 T-80Us is really good with those BMP3s and Tunguska for support.
Yeah, over on the blue side at the bottom, we do see an STRV-121 out of Razman. Firestarter is bringing in an M1A1 Abrams and an M1IP Abrams to counter. Also the M1A2 Abrams there, that's quite a large investment of tanks for Firestarter. Going to be able to deal with those T-80Us hopefully quite well once he gets into gun range, because obviously the T-80Us are going to be firing at a very long range with their HGMs to begin with. But up at the top, we do see Razman. He hasn't bought a heavy tank as far as I can see. There is a Leopard 1A5N02 in there, which is a quite nice sort of supporting tank. It's a medium tank that's very effective for its price.
No, it really is, and those Gazelle Celtics will do wonders for pushing off any kind of rush. I mean, we saw Patton in their second game versus ANZ do a pretty successful heavy rush, so maybe they're wary of something a little unexpected coming out. I'd like to take a moment to just look at the blue side forces and the bot side, because they have lots of heavy tanks, but I can't help but feel that they're lacking a bit in AA because they only have these 2 chaparrals. But we've seen just how prevalent the use of really powerful ATGM planes are in Hotel. And I can't help but think that they might not be enough to really fend that off, if assuming the red side can get control of the skies with their MiG-25 PDs.
Yeah, the MiG-27 is really going to be a problem for those Abrams, and I can pretty much bet that we're going to see them throughout the game, and they're going to have to be careful. The other way you could counter that is not necessarily using the AA, but also the smoke tactic, of course, that Razman is pretty good at, with the whole reversing into the smoke. So it'd be interesting to see if that's pulled out, but an F5A coming across from at the beginning from Dirty D, that puff, really going to be able to take out a couple of expensive radar AA if they aren't turned off. So it looks like Random might have to be careful about that, because he does not want to be losing this Tungus Garem early on. We don't see any helicopters coming out of Razman, so a lot of these Celtics are going to be pretty useless at the start of the game. Luckily, they don't cost too much for their capability. They do cost 70 points, but the investment there is just to be better safe than sorry, really. That MiG-25 PD, it doesn't look like that's going to catch out the F5A Puff, and let's see where these units are going on the map.
Yeah, so we've got a quite nice matchup in the middle area with actually quite a light complement of troops from the blue side. This is a lot less than we'd usually expect to see, I think, from this particular sector in Lima. It looks like they've invested a lot more points down in the bot side. Yeah,
we do see a small engagement at the top there. The Hachi Nanashikis nearly got on target on the Tungus Garem. That would have been a nice kill for those Hachi Nanashikis for sure. The Milan F2 nearly also hitting the T-72B1 when it showed itself. But it looks like Fadeway is going to put a little probing BTR up the middle of the map there, and will find resistance. And of course that means that the Yakude will die. Poor guys. Now we see the HGMs coming out of Patton on the bottom side. These BMP3s, really good units for engaging at long range. But he wants to keep them out of range of these heavy tanks, because as you can see, the STRV-121 is literally one-shotting the BMP3s there. And these tanks are advancing very, very quickly now. The T-80Us coming into range, and we're going to see this M1IP take a lot of damage from those HGMs if they're not too careful.
Yeah, definitely. The STRV-121 has 23 AP, so really strong gun. But again, even those super heavy tanks need to watch out, because these T-80Us and that one remaining BMP3 are still a really formidable opponent to these tanks at range.
Yeah, the F-15A Eagle came in, and that actually got shot down for free. It didn't do any damage to opposing aircraft, so that is very unfortunate for the blue side. And it looks like there is a pretty much full retreat going on here from Firestarter. He's bringing all of the tanks back, even though these T-80Us are finally out of ammunition. I think that's a bit of a strange move. His M1A2 is still on full health, as well as his M1A1, and they will both do well against those T-80Us in gun range. So I'm surprised to see them pulled back so far, but maybe he's just waiting for a few extra units, making sure that he isn't taken out by any MiG-27s turning up and so on. But up in the top side, the engagement still continuing between the T-72B1 and the Hachi Nanashikis there that have been spotted. Little probing attack from Random in the top side as well. The Spetsnaz crew there getting a little too close for comfort and are going to be cleaned up by some Hachi Nanashikis.
Yeah, a nice attempt at a little probe, but Dirty D is already expecting it. Has some Hachi Nanashikis up there, moving them down. In the bot side we see a F-100D trying to take out the Tunguska, but just missing and unfortunately going down to a Tor, so not quite what the blue team would have wanted, but it looks like Firestarter's moving forward some of his tanks in a bit of a probe.
Yeah, the F-100D is a really nice rocket aircraft. I really like that, the fact that they are using those. You don't see them very often at all, but they have 72 rockets, and they can just like destroy light targets and infantry squads very, very quickly if they're used effectively. Unfortunately, they lost their F-100, but in the top side we can see an incursion of VDV facing off against some Jaegers. The BTR-80 though doing a lot of damage to those Jaeger squads and pretty much untouched. Those Jaeger squads definitely need to be targeted onto that BTR-80A, otherwise that's going to just destroy those Jaegers completely. On the bottom side, Puff versus MiG-25 PD. Looks like the PD is going to go down to the Chaparrals though. And also we saw another aircraft go down there, but nobody's really pushed into Hotel now. I think it was actually a Viggen that was lost on that bottom side. Both the T-80Us though, pretty much high health, so not too much damage done.
Not too much damage indeed, but I think the blue side is slowly choking the red side out of Hotel, because it's very important as the red side to not really lose control of that forward tree line along the road in Hotel, but in this case, if they're not very careful, they'll have a Bradley in there and some Rangers and all these tanks very quickly.
Yeah, in this top side, a very strong push coming out of Random. He has moved up his T-72BU into close proximity of this infantry, which is interesting. The Moskaya Pohota pushing onto this compound. The Stormers, though, with those MG3s, are going to be able to deal a lot of damage and stun those Moskayas with the help of the Bradley CFB until it gets taken out by that T-72. And now we're going to see a BTR pushing across the open, going to get taken out by the Hachi Nanashiki. The Spetsnaz crew still making good progress, though, through the forest. And if these Jaegers get taken out, then that's going to be a very nice strong point for Random.
It definitely is. This is a really nicely orchestrated push. He's gone in with that exceptionally strong, the Spetsnaz crew, the very, very strong Soviet infantry unit. And you can see Dirty D pinging for help. He knows just how dangerous this push is, really, because if he loses control of that forest, it's very easy to put a counter-capping CV in there, or just to use it as a staging point to push even further into India.
Yeah, MiG-27 was making a run on the bottom side, did get shot down. I don't think that it managed to take out a tank though, so quite lucky there. I think it actually missed both of its missiles. But the tanks moving forwards again from Firestarter. 3 M1IP Abrams leading the charge. T-80U going to take out one of them, and the BMP-3 is definitely going to do damage to another. Although the Bradley on the bottom side, that could get the snipe onto the BMP-3, but no, the BMP-3 moves out of range. Maybe can get the return kill. Yes, it can. So the recon gone on the bottom side, although those Rangers will remain there. Back over at Random's push, though, he has managed to take out the last of the Jaegers in that forest. And now we can see Dirty D reinforcing with more Hachi Nanashikis to deal with those infantry squads. But he's got to be careful that those just don't get picked off by this T-72BU, as we can see just happened. So he's got to be really careful about this, because a counter-cap CV in India right now could push the red side towards victory. And currently they are at a +1 conquest lead.
They are. I mean, it really shows just how dangerous a super heavy tank is when the other team doesn't have one. Because this BU is just sitting there, and it can, there's nothing apart from that ATGM Milan F2 squad that can really put a dent on that from the blue side in India.
Oh, this wonderful bombing strike in the bottom side. Sorry.
The bottom side?
The Aardvark came in. Basically, they brought in an F-15A Eagle and a Block 15 to shoot down a MiG-27. And while that was all going on and the Tunguska was firing at the F-15, an Aardvark came round with cluster munition and nearly took out the Tunguska and the Buratino in a strike. Fortunately, Patton's micro was on point and he managed to get those out of the way, but that was just such a lovely orchestrated attack there from those aircraft.
It really was, but I have to say that you bring up a good point mentioning the cluster aardvark. This has been I'm not going to say a weakness, but just a trend of Crna Buksna the entire tournament. They've been really resistant to using ATGM planes as opposed to these cluster bombers, which I think is a little, a little short-sighted in a way. I think that the cluster bombers, apart from perhaps the Viggen, are all pretty substandard compared to the price. But obviously they've chosen to use those, and it does show there is a slight weakness with them because they're a lot easier to dodge. Patton micro this Tunguska really well there.
Oh, T-72BU sniped in the side by an ATGM Milan F2 in the top side. Also, that Milan F2 squad has taken out a T-72B1 previously. A MiG going down as well there. Random losing a lot of high value units in a very short space of time. And those FSK from Dirty D and the Jaegers following up are going to be able to put some big pressure onto these Spetsnaz and the SU-122s. A lot of this stuff in the forest there is going to start falling away once these FSKs continue to push. In the middle side, that lack of focus at the start in Lima has kind of cost them. They still haven't got a command unit into Lima, and this +1 lead for the red side is building up quite significantly. But in the bottom side, Firestarter has managed to get some riflemen into the tree line at Hotel. So in terms of map pressure, things pretty even, but it would be good if the blue side managed to get that CV into Lima soon.
It would be, although I'm a bit surprised why Fadeway and Random in the middle aren't pushing into Lima right now, because I'm pretty sure they know just how little stuff is there. That's really ripe for the taking, really. There's not really much there, and they have, I believe, but yeah, they have a Buratino there as well. So we'll have to see if they push into Lima. That's what I would personally recommend, but just going back to what happened in the top, you have to feel bad for Random because he was in such a good position. That one side shot just shows, just goes to show that you can have the best tank in the world, but if you're not careful about where ATGMs are hitting you from, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the puff going down there to a Tunguska M over Bravo, and it looks like finally Dirty D has managed to take that forest back for now. Although there is quite a lot of SU-122s there, and a couple infantry squads better than these Jaegers pushing back upon them. So it's still pretty contested up there. In this middle though, yeah, you're right about this Lima sector being pretty undefended, and also Fadeway there with the Buratino could definitely carve a path into Lima with that, and then they could push on with the BTR 152s that they've got coming in there with the Yakudays. I think that's possibly what they're going to try and achieve. We do see Firestarter though putting some pressure on the bottom side of Echo. He has engaged the Fadeway's T-72BU with the STRV 121, and that BU is on very low health. Fortunately, the Buratino coming in there with the stun, meaning that the T-72BU hasn't gone down quite yet, but the M1A1 only has to get one more shot. Well, it looks like the STRV 121 picked it off, but that's another T-72BU down for the red side.
No, a brilliant pick off there. Really, really unfortunate. He should have probably pulled that back further because the Buratino did a great job of trying to protect that and panic those tanks, but there's only so much you could do with the Buratino, and without using smoke to cover that retreat path.
Yeah, we can see a puff was over Gulf a second ago, engaging some aircraft. Those puffs seem to be quite effective actually, dogfighting, and it's interesting to see them used for that purpose as opposed to just purely seed aircraft. We've seen them used to shoot down helicopters previously as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But Patton here making quite a substantial push now. He's moving forwards with a T80UM, his SU-122s at the front to soak up shots and also deal damage to infantry. And we are seeing a T80U follow up as well, and a BMP3 in there, but all of the HGMs have pretty much been used up other than on the T80UM, and we also see Fadeway. Is he going to be moving these BTR 152s down to join that push? He might just well be.
I mean, this is a good job in terms of the pressure that they can apply, but at the same time there's some really significant blue forces up in the tree line of the hotel, and those bombers coming in now, oh my god, they could do a lot of damage, and they wipe out so much of the cover for the red side push there that they're just going to have to pull back, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think one of the planes went down there, but that cluster bomb strike took out a lot of the more minor units, but basically forced the T80Us backwards for a little while, and it seems that Dirty D has disconnected. I guess that's what's happened. We do see a disconnect coming out of Dirty D, I would assume. The push from Fadeway coming in here, these Yuckwa are pinned down at the moment. All of the BTR 152s have been destroyed. Looks like Firestarter's struggling to keep these tanks alive as well at the moment. An M1IP Abrams limping away on 1 health, and a Buratino not going to make things any better, as that's going to come in and stun a lot of units, and very, very close to hitting the command unit that's there. That command unit not actually capturing a sector at the moment, but still, you do not want to lose that unit.
Definitely not, and that was, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a brilliant snipe by Patton's T80UM that killed the M1A2, which is definitely a load off the red team's mind, but there's still 2 M1A1HCs and an STRV 121 there, so still a lot of firepower, and Fadeway is bringing a BU in, but it is very low health, so... And a firing computer reset as well, that definitely needs to be pulled back, I think.
Yeah, well, the STRV-121 did take a lot of damage from the Buratino just then, and that is panicked and is going to get side shot by the T80UM as it moves forwards, but the M1A1 in the open engaging the T80UM, T80U coming in there to deal a nice front shot. And this engagement between these tanks is really nice to see. It's not often that you get a chance to see extended tank engagements like this, and Patton trying to micro this carefully enough so that he doesn't lose either of these tanks, and it seems that both players are going to survive with their tanks for now.
Yeah, it just goes to show that if you want to be very good and play at a high level, you need to have those micro skills, because Patton danced those 2 tanks so carefully around the fire range of those blue tanks there, and he ensured that they both did as much damage as they could before having to pull them back.
Now, up in this top side, we can see that the blue side has taken over control of Dirty D's unit since he disconnected, and they're now trying to push back and take this forest off Random. But Random has a quite nice composition of units there, those BTR 90s with the grenade launchers and the Moskaya, Gornostrelki, VDV and so on, but Fighting Falcon coming in with 2 1,000 kilogram bombs. That is going to do a lot of damage to that infantry. We are also going to see some cluster munitions come in and take out a Tunguska M, and unfortunately the F-16 went down that dropped those munitions, but still a nice kill nonetheless.
Yeah, I think the blue team's made an excellent use of just planes in general this game. They've done lots of wonderful things with those puffs, been able to keep the air clear of radar AA. And considering how cost effective they are at 70 points apiece, it's if you don't have a puff in your full NATO deck, then I think you're doing it wrong, because they are incredible units, and they really did a lot of damage to that push. Now the blue side's going to be able to recapture that forest, I think.
In this bottom side, we do see these M1A1HC Abrams pushing back a T80U, but seem to be overextending at the moment. T80U getting away with 1 health. That must be frustrating for Firestarter right there. He's trying to bring it back, but the Buratino is going to catch him out a little. The T80UM, was that taken out by something?
Yeah, it was taken out by those 2 RBS 56s with a ridiculous 26 AP, so really, really dangerous in range.
Yeah, wonderful kill there. I didn't actually see it happen, but obviously the HGMs there just about in range before the Buratino blocked that off with the napalm. And up in the top side, yeah, they did manage to pretty much take back this forest after they weakened all of those infantry squads and did a lot of damage to the APCs and so on. So the Gvarman now taking the fight to the Morskaya, and there is a T-72BU still in that tree line. That's got to be careful that it doesn't get side shot by any of this infantry, otherwise that is going to be a bad time.
It really is, but with that Buratino coming in, I don't think the BU has anything to worry about. These Gvarman men are going to have a really bad time, unfortunately. I still think that this forest will stay in the control of the blue team, because it looks like they've got some more infantry just back in India where those Avengers are that they can bring in.
Yeah, a couple of fighting Falcons coming in again with the two 1,000 kilogram bombs, followed up by the two cluster munition aardvarks, and let's see what sort of damage these can do. Not quite sure what those bombs are going for, but seems they were all going on top of the T-72BU, and the aardvarks coming in as well. Are they going to land those strikes? Yes, they are, and the T-72BU goes down in reply for one of the aardvarks. So a nice blow there to the red side, taking out a third T-72BU. Also, we mustn't forget that the T-80UM went down on the bottom side as well. So the red side must be getting low on heavy tanks now, or super heavies at least. And that might be something that would allow the blue side to come back in this game.
I think it definitely might, and you have to remember that when Dirty Deep disconnected, this gave the blue side double the amount of super heavy tanks. So technically that means they have more super heavy tanks than they would have done to start with. Because if you imagine they have one super heavy tank each, then if one person gets disconnected, the other two get two more tanks. So you end up with 4 tanks. So, as long as your players are skilled enough, and Razman and Firestar, there's probably not really that much of a better combo available to handle those really excellent units and come back into this game, because I believe they've got it in them, to be honest.
Yeah, so they're pretty much trading off having a third player to micro the units, and are receiving extra availability in its place. Obviously, probably wasn't intentional. It was probably just saw Dirty D disconnect there, but Firestarter making progress in taking back this tree line from the VDV-90 squads. He's finally got some mortars here. They've been doing quite a lot of damage to this infantry, while the Gvarman and the Rifleman 90 squads have been pushing up. A second M1A2 coming up from Firestarter, unless that's the original one that has been replaced. Well, actually, no, it can't be, because the last one got killed. So that's a replacement M1A2 there. And we do see another M1HC Abrams coming in, and they are starting to do a lot of damage to that T-80U.
They are, but there's an MI-28 up here, and there's Attacker 5 missiles are really dangerous to these tanks, especially with the Chaparral and the Rover RBS-90 so far behind.
Yeah, one of those M1A1HC Abrams down to 1 health right now, and that last AGM is going to miss, so it looks like they might get away with that for now. The FSK and the Rifleman in that tree line are doing very, very well against the VDV-90 now. Surprised not to see a bomber come in and try and take out those squads, and Aardvark coming over from Firestarter is going to go down straight away, but the T-72BU is going to take a lot of damage. Patton's T-72BU there down to 4 health. That's not very good. 2 Fighting Falcons coming in from Razman. One's gone down immediately. Let's see what those bombs do. Looks like they're going to land away from any units.
Right in the middle of the CV and that Buratino, so really unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame there. Both those strikes could have definitely been utilised a lot better. Up in this top side, it looks like things have stabilised for the blue side, which is going to make it a lot easier for them to focus on another part of the map entirely. So one player's probably got control of pretty much all of Dirty D's units, and they're going to be keeping an eye on that. I don't expect to see them pushing from India. I reckon the majority of the focus is going to be coming in this bot side at Hotel, and that you can definitely see it from the reinforcements coming up the road. We do see like another M1A1HC Abrams from Firestarter, and also an MBT-70 coming up now.
Yeah, this is a ludicrous amount of tanks, and the red side, they only have one BU here. And it doesn't look like they're going to have one brought up very soon. They've got some BMP-3s on the way around. And they need to be really careful, because this is reaching a critical mass now, and I think the blue side can roll over this in hotel if the red team isn't careful.
Yeah, Mi-28 did go down now to the Chaparral, so no longer that threat for the tanks, and that is going to allow Razman and Firestarter to start pushing heavily on this bottom side of the map. Once these infantry squads get revealed, all of these tanks firing in unison is going to take them out almost instantly. But let's see if this T-72 BU can fire back. It is only on 5 health, it's been repaired a little, does have all its ATGMs, so we'll have to see if that can actually take out enough tanks to make a difference, because currently this is an overwhelming amount of forces coming out of Firestarter.
Yep, the Nighthawk coming in now, right onto that BU, I think, and this could be absolutely devastating if this goes down. Oh my god. What an unfortunate strike for the red team here. They have literally nothing in this hotel sector. They've got MiG-27 coming in, but even if that killed 2 tanks, I don't think that'd really make a difference, to be honest.
Yeah, MiG-27 coming in, I don't think that actually took out a tank. It just got shot down and did a bit of damage to one. So yeah, this is not looking good in this bottom side for the red side at the moment. The red team really on the back foot, although this MiG-23 MLD showing its dominance against the Block 15 and also shooting down a helicopter while it's at it. So nice 2 for 1 there. But Firestarter, yeah, just such an awesome composition of forces, mainly just tanks though. Just completely overwhelming Patton's forces.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when you have your tanks whittled down and the enemy just starts building them up. I mean, I honestly think the red team should probably look to apply some pressure in mid or something, because right now the bottom side is a complete non-starter. Really, it's completely lost for them.
Yeah, these Panzerbills out of Razman, they're finishing the job really, and now it looks like they're going to be pushing up to the bottom side of Delta and picking off whatever they can. I'm not quite sure why Fadeaway is moving away this T-80. It looks like these VDV-90 and the Iglarens could use a hand. So that tank really needs to turn around right now, because the Panzerbills are going to chew up infantry squads very, very quickly. A Viking coming in. Not quite sure what that was going for, but the Puff is going to pick off a Book M1. So nice amount of damage done there. The F-100Ds coming in again. Let's see what those are going for. It looks like they're going to be trying rocket strike this T-80, and they nearly take it down. Not enough rockets actually hitting their target though, and those F-100s are going to be evac'd. So Random was trying to push in the middle with the BTR-90 and the Moskara and the VDV, but the Gvarman holding their ground with the FSK and the help of the Wildcat. Now the Wildcat's actually quite an underrated unit in my opinion. I really, really like that recon unit. It has a very nice auto cannon for its price, and I'm surprised not to see them utilised more often. But up on this top side, a little bit of pressure coming out of Random as well, but they brought up an STRV-121 to deal with stuff up there. So things looking really good for the red or blue team right now.
Oh, can I just say that was absolutely tragic. Fadeaway just brought in a MiG-27 down in the mid to try and take out. You see, where the STRV-121 and the Leopard were, the Leopard 115, the I know as I call it. And he went for the Leopard, and he used both of his missiles on the Leopard when there was a half health STRV-121 there. So it does get taken out by the T-80U, but that's just really showing just how fatigued Fadeaway must be feeling right now, and probably the entire red side, because they just received an absolute battering in this bottom side.
Yeah, the push coming straight through, and that STRV-121 just went full Rambo. It was taking out loads of units in Delta, and now Delta's more or less completely undefended. They could just go round Echo right now and take out that CV. But that's easier said than done, of course, especially if Patton's going to be continuing to bring in reinforcements. Patton there just managing to micro his TACU in time to stop it getting side shot by the Bradley. So nice job there to keep that alive, but it's already down to 3 health. And we are going to see an F-15 Eagle go down. And 2 Fighting Falcons coming in with their 2 1,000 kilogram bombs again onto the town, and it looks like that's actually going to take out the command unit in Echo, pushing the blue team now to a +2 lead on the map.
Yeah, what a turnaround, especially with 1 player missing as well. This is you've got to hand it to Firestarter and Razman here, because they have just done an absolutely brilliant job pushing through Hotel, and this big hook up from Hotel to Echo and Delta was something the red team probably was really not prepared for.
A Vigan coming in now. Looks like those are going to be going for this T90S. Oh lord, they did a lot of damage to those BTRDs as well. They did manage to get the kill onto the T90. Wonderful job there. And I think mainly what happened is, since Dirty D left the game, what they did was they stabilized India and Lima and then put both of their focus into Hotel, and that's really how they came through in this game. Patton was like sort of left on his own against both those players, and with the overwhelming amount of tanks in that sector, it basically meant that Patton didn't have enough to make his units cost effective, and therefore they just got rolled over, whilst Razman and Firestarter didn't really take too much damage themselves. So great job there to utilize their sort of misfortune.
Yeah, definitely so. But I feel kind of bad for Pan here, because I thought he played Hotel extremely well. He was microing really well, but in the end he just couldn't stand up to that ridiculous amount of tanks. Buratino coming in the middle, but I'm honestly not sure exactly how much that'll be.
Yeah, it looks like it's a bit misplaced as to where Razman and Firestarter's forces are actually coming from into the bottom side of Echo. Fighting Falcon coming in again is going to get a kill onto a Tunguska M, so wonderful kill there. And we can see all of this infantry coming out of Patton and Random on the top side is being picked off by the Leopard and the M1 IP Abrams there, as well as the Wildcat, which has actually used up all its ammunition. It's been sat there for the entire game, and it might finally go down to this Buratino.
No, it looks like it might escape. Oh, then again, it is in the fire. We'll see if that goes down. That hero Wildcat was, oh no, unfortunate. Gets taken out by the BTR-90s, but still, even with that brave Wildcat going down, the blue side is steamrolling into Echo, and I think that unfortunately for the red side, this game is potentially over if they can't do something very drastic very quickly.
Yeah, Razman trying to use a Vigan there to predict the movement out of Random's TACUM, so unfortunately he missed that strike. MI-28 moving up from Random, utilizing the fact that there is not much infrared AA, and wow, some pretty sharpish smoke coming out of there from Firestarter to protect his M1A2 Abrams as well. So good job there. Some nice micro coming out. The MI-28 did finally go down to the RBS-90 squad though.
Yeah, this is getting extremely dangerous for the red team, because they've got this T90S is out in the open. That's going to get chewed alive by this M1A2 and HC, and the Bradley there as well. It's just a full hook round through to Delta, and yeah, they might have got CV into Echo, but very very shortly the points are going to start ticking. Are going to be in the blue side's favour, and I think it'll be extremely unlikely that the red team will come back into this.
Yeah, an SG-25 coming in there trying to stop those 2 tanks that were facing off against the T-90, but not really going to be enough to kill the M1A2 as the SU-25 does go down. Some infantry did manage to get into Lima, which is quite interesting to see, considering the amount of fire support there was that was trying to stop the infantry from advancing. But with Razman getting some infantry into the bottom side of Echo alongside Firestarter, that's basically meant that the blue team is going to have an easy time contesting Echo for the rest of this game.
It really is, and yeah, the red team does have a lot of very heavy tanks here, but these Vigans have just been doing so much damage. And I said that I preferred the ATGM planes, but you know, those Vigans, 10 AP, yeah, just absolutely devastating.
Yeah, the Vigans coming in again, and a Nighthawk there as well, doing a little bit of damage. But I think really a lot of these units that are being pushed into Lima right now could really be better off used trying to get their way back into the Echo Town from the red side. Like, it's kind of a bit of a waste seeing these Moskaya just move across the open and eventually get taken down by the Gevarmen and the assault engineers. There's really not much of a chance they're going to be able to make that push succeed without fire support, and at the moment they're trying to push without fire support, so it's pretty much doomed from the start. These Panzerbills coming in, they're going to try and take out a squad of Spetsnaz that's caught in the open, and they will probably discover this command unit in Delta as well. I would not be surprised to see the Panzerbills try and run over that. Mi-28 trying to do its best to take out as many of those Panzerbills as quickly as possible. Also the Ka-52 there helping out, and it looks like they might just get away with surviving that push. So quite a good reactive response there from Patton and Fadeway to stop that push coming through.
A good response, but it looks like this poor Zui Van CV is going to have a very bad time now with these two bombs coming in. Yeah, gets taken down by the second one.
Yeah, these Fighting Falcons with the two 1,000 kilogram bombs, one of my favourite units. They have an awesome camouflage and awesome munitions, and you can see that second Fighting Falcon also took out the infantry squad that was there as well. You do see the F-100D coming in to try and take out the OSA AKM, but Random masterfully reversing that to avoid the strike and is going to shoot down the aircraft. So some really good plays still coming out from the red side. They're just still in a really bad position because since that command unit has gone down in Delta, they are now at a +3 disadvantage on incoming conquest points.
They really are. This is, you know, it's really unfortunate as well because, like you said, the red team has had some flashes of brilliance this game. As a 4090 just gets sideshotted by the Abrams, but that definitely not being one of the flashes of brilliance. But you know, they've had some great micro this game. I thought Patton played really well in Hotel. Random made some really nice moves in the top side, but ultimately, they just got steamrolled in the bottom side, and that just really segued into this big hook that we've seen here. And the blue team has just really steamrolled them. Really, they just saved up from an initial. I'd say the red team got slightly worse, the worst end of the fighting in Hotel at the start, but came back with a vengeance and just built up enough forces to push completely through.
Yeah, we can see an FSK squad out of Razman now making a lot of progress in Echo, so that's managed to force back the Buratino and the T-80UM there. It's very close to finding the Ueban, and once it does, then we're going to go back to a +3 lead since Razman has snuck his command infantry into Echo. This Fennec TOW-2 push is very interesting to see. Those TOW-2 missiles taking out quite a few important units there, and yeah, quite unorthodox to see those Fennec TOW-2s used like that, but definitely did quite a lot of damage.
Honestly, I think that was a bit of style points right there, to be honest, at the end, because I think the blue team knows they've won this game, and all they have to do now is just rack up the kills.
Yeah, there is only 3 minutes left on the clock in the game, and a +2 lead for the blue side still there. So Patton trying his best to push forwards now with a couple of T-72B1, but both of them destroyed. A Vigan going down for the blue side that was trying to counter that push, and a Nighthawk coming in there. That's going to be using its laser guided bombs to try and stop these T-72B1s in their tracks. Does just that, but does get taken down in the trade. So yeah, this is a lot of units going down here. T-72B1s lost there, 4 of them. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot indeed. I think this has been A pretty unfortunate push for the red team here, but right now, I mean, there's nothing else they can do. The timer has just unfortunately run out on them, and I think they just have to start looking towards next game and seeing where they went wrong in this one.
Yeah, it's basically an all or nothing push coming out there. The T72 BU going down, probably the 6th BU we've seen in this game get destroyed, and although they're still trying, it's probably not going to get them anywhere. And yeah, like you say, it's probably better now that they focus their thoughts on the next game and what they're going to do to avoid this happening again. Basically, what we saw was the masses of tanks just being too overwhelming for the red side to deal with. That eventually pushed them through on the bottom side at Hotel, and they really paid for that and sort of dropped the ball there. Didn't manage to get the reinforcements down there in time. Patton was left on his own against the 2 players that were left in the game, and it really caught them out. So I think in a way it was more the blue team's initiative down in that bottom side that won them the game. But you know, at the same time, if they had reacted a little better, maybe used their MiG-27s more effectively, then they might have had a better time.
Surrender votes coming in here from Patton, and I'm going to imagine the other 2 are very, very soon to follow. But yeah, I think it's just exactly like you said. The red team just seemed a little slow on the reaction, and you know, Paddy Field is one of those maps where you usually expect Red 4 to win just because they have those really good long-range ATGMs, which are really good in Hotel. But in this case, you know, just build up enough tanks, and you don't care about the ATGMs. You have more tanks than they have ATGMs, so that's definitely one way to do it.
Yeah, so after 39 minutes and 23 seconds, Crna Buksna are going to beat CCD in the first game of the best of 3. And I think, honestly, CCD have quite a lot of work to do in sort of thinking of a way to counter this Bluefor style that is coming out of Crna Buksna. And it's very nice to see that Bluefor is actually winning out in this aspect, because, like you say, the ATGMs that Red 4 have are very good, especially for fighting in Hotel. But when you are overwhelmed with cost-effective tanks, then things get a bit difficult, and we can see that like the kills and losses, they're really representing how well and how cost effective Razman and Firestarter's units were.
It really was, and you know, you've got to feel bad for poor Fadeaway, because he really had a bad game that game. You know, I think there were a few times when he probably should have maybe taken a bit of initiative and tried to push the push the middle. I think that was mostly what his sector was, because he kind of built forces up in the middle, but then he didn't go to help Patton that much. You know, it was a bit late by the time that he did swing stuff down there. So I feel like he had quite a few wasted points worth of units there that he should have either pushed with or should have put down. But at the end of the day, you know, he had a pretty unfortunate game and lost quite a lot of points. But you know, the red team, they didn't play terribly. They, you know, some good micro from all of them. But Razman and Firestarter were just fantastic. And you know, Dirty D, he wasn't with us for the whole game, but he had a good start of the game as well.
Yeah, I think it mainly came down to the decision making in this one. Fadeaway had a very good chance to push into Lima and the blue side of the middle, and he just didn't really take it. He had lots of units in there at one point, and then he lost them, but he didn't keep trying to force that sector when he probably really could have, especially considering so much resources from the blue side was going into the bottom of the map to counter Patton, because Patton was doing so well in that sector initially. And well, I think in general, like after Dirty D disconnected, it was so good, so well played by Firestarter and Razman to stabilize the top and middle sectors, and then focus fire on the bottom side and take Patton out of the game pretty much. Blew up all of his heavy tanks with their own, and it was just, that's basically what sealed the deal in this game.
It really was. But yeah, I think we've had a really good game, and I'm really excited for game 2, because you know, for a lot of this game, the red team was winning. CCD was winning. So you know, I think these teams are But actually, despite this loss, I think these teams are quite even, really.
Yeah, there's still a good chance that both teams are going to win the second game of the best of 3, but that will be coming up next. But in the meantime, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.